already, Terran is pretty much getting his build going. He's got this early starport. He's going to be going for this cloak anytime soon. It looks like he's going to be going for nothing at the time being. There's the Banshee coming out right now. Did he do some sort of scan just now? No, looks like he was just waiting a little bit. Perhaps messed up on his timing. So, I really like any play as Terran that gets some sort of unit in his main early on. So, with this Hellion, you can do nice things like poke into his front and see if he has any sort of specific unit mix. If he has a lot of sentries and zealots, you generally assume he's not doing something like going Stargate. If he's left the ramp, you can get in there with the Stargate. There's a lot of Terran builds now that involve getting a delayed Reaper, so you can pop the Reaper up on the high ground and scout in the main, and that sort of thing. Because this is where Terran kind of needs vision to check out what's up. So, you heard me say in the first game, oh yeah, that Viking was going to be great opportunity for the Terran player to hold off this Void Ray. Let's see how Terran deals with the fact that this Void Ray is coming, and there hasn't really been that much preparation. Easy, just cancels, and let me actually back up the replay. Notice that this Hellion is about halfway done when the Viking gets started. And just to give First Kiss a little bit more credit, this Void Ray is not just him going, "Her Void Rays, durr," you know, which is something, a technique that many people have been employing successfully. I build Void Rays, therefore I'm awesome, so, you know, I'm going to get a high win percentage. But specifically on this map, the range 7 of the Void Ray, it makes this little piece of terrain so juicy because you can take down these refineries. So, I mean, really, oh, gross, really tough spot. If this were something like Steps of War, this Void Ray would instead be shooting down at a barracks at the front, which would easily just get repaired up, or something like that. But I mean, look at this abuse that Snowkiss can do, just doing so much damage and already darting in there with the Void Ray. But the fact that there are Marines here is really helping Terran quite a bit. So I'm going to go to the resource counter just to point out that this is still pretty close. The Protoss is not demolishing by any means, just doing some nice little zapping here, some nice little bounce forward and back action. Marines can actually be quite good at killing Void Rays. Void Rays should be a little careful. This Void Ray actually, I don't think should be trying to zap these Marines. It should be just sort of pulling back, intending to pick off some more of these refineries should they pop up. And here comes the Viking, look, darting forward and then finally taking it out. So what we're seeing here is that against Void Rays, this build can potentially have some bumps to it. That Banshee was getting made a lot earlier on, and I definitely think that the Marine, Hellion, Banshee composition would have been great against, you know, like fast Robo, fast Warp Gate. Obviously, the Banshee would have been phenomenal here. But oh no, it didn't get canceled in time, so this Viking ended up getting killed immediately. Let's see what Terran's response is. That is always a big curiosity for me whenever I see some player, you know, do the slip on the banana peel at the start of the match, you know, like step on the rake and get hit in the forehead, sort of. Wow, how are you going to recover from that one? You know, especially with that cute girl watching you. Isn't that embarrassing? You know, like, how is Nex going to figure out a way to recover from that start? Because we want to see, does this build have the flexibility that I've been saying over and over and over again that I'm positive that it does? So look at Snowkiss learning clearly from last game. Look at him having an Observer and a Phoenix ready to deal with this Banshee. So, I mean, in my eyes, this could not look worse for Terran, right? I mean, that's a reasonable sounding argument. Oh no, I spent all this money on Cloak and a Banshee and it just got shut down. Here comes the next Viking, canceling actually another Banshee. Let me actually back that up just to point that out. So I just want you to note on the mini-map there's a little red dot of the Banshee, and Nex just goes, oh, wait a minute. And we're going to see his Banshee go, no, yeah, there we go. That's a Viking. There we go. Still Marines and Hellions being made. Interesting mix. Command Center being made. You know, logical choice. Now getting the barracks. It's funny how similar this looks to the last game. Once everything gets a little bit stable for Terran, yeah, now I'm just going to make a ton of barracks. I'm going to get my expansion up. And unit counting station-wise, it's funny to note that Nex is actually ahead in the food count. That's really because his expansion isn't quite kicked in, and these warp gates haven't quite kicked in. Certainly, once they do, Protoss will be leaping ahead in terms of the food count. And these Phoenixes doing a nice little bit of scouting going on here. I think it's a reasonable play by the by the Protoss just to go, oh yeah, if you're getting Banshees, I'm going to get Phoenixes and Scout. Most normal thing in the world. And by the way, once again, I want to say, now that we have over 3,000 people watching the stream right now, that every single Day 9 Daily that has ever been made, ever, is there at day9tv.blip.tv. I also have a YouTube account. Subscribe at youtube.com/day9tv. And follow me on Twitter on twitter.com/day9tv. So smart. I love my consistent naming conventions that actually have my name in them, as opposed to Strider Doom, which is just an amazing team in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And of course the name of my old live stream address. So we do have the Chrono Boost on the building that is not upgrading anything. Yep, there's the good old Chrono Boost on the empty building. A very standard technique employed by players of all skill levels when they misclick. So this is the part where Protoss really should begin jumping ahead. We already see that gap closing, and really almost unanimously favor canceling units in order to get all your warp gates up. They just build so fast. I'm questioning a little bit, though, the choice to get this Zealot leg speed upgrade, because at this early stage in the game, Zealot leg speed would let you be aggressive. It would let you get in your opponent's face. But on a map like this, where you're all the way down here, that's kind of far. You would really need a lot of pylons in some pretty advanced locations to be willing to do that. So I'm not so great a fan of this. But look at this great macro by Terran, just keeping up and just tip-top production capacity at that barracks. And this is something that is kind of unique to the Asia servers. This, I'm not getting medevacs style opening. Just Ravens plus Marine Marauder, and occasionally tanks you also see. Very, very cool style that we see a lot of these Terrans doing in many of the matchups. My computer begins to lock up. Oh, okay, there. It finally smoothed itself back out. And some nice little sniping action going on. The Raven just keeping up to make sure that there's no observers trailing around here with these Phoenixes. Very easy thing to take out. And I really think Protoss is starting to play very, very, very smart. His macro is slipping a little bit, as we can clearly see in this food count. And, that's something that I think is important to note. That Terran, who seemed to be up against the wall and just made units, I mean, he didn't even do anything special with his barracks. He's just like, well, I'm dying. I guess I'll make some Marines. And then he did, and he has, like, way more units than his opponent. That almost always says something that I think that you should listen to quite a bit. If you ever feel like, yeah, got him, and you're behind on food, it's like, well, you didn't get him. Because I remember I was actually playing, probably like a week ago, I played a game against Drewby, a strong player from Root. And I remember in the game, I was like, I'm doing pretty good, all right, feeling good, feeling fine. And then I moved some Hydralisks north to try to snipe a Viking, and he just sprinted his whole army behind my Hydralisks and just cut him off and got like 12 free Hydra kills. And I was like, oh, what a dumb blunder. And then when we played the rest of the game out, he won pretty handily. And I remember when I rewatched the replay, again, when you lose, you kind of want to be like, oh, it was a dumb game. You just killed off the Hydras. There, analysis complete. However, I made myself go back and rewatch it, and at the end of the game, he was maxed, and I was at like 120 food. If I had kept those Hydras, I still would have been at like 140 food. I'm like, how did he get 60 food ahead of me? Clearly, losing 12 Hydras for nothing is not ideal. Don't do that on a regular basis. Like, oh, my strategy is to lose 12 Hydras and then, I don't know, make Void Rays and win. Don't get into the habit of just blaming it on one thing, because if you are that far behind on food, you can go, wow, I really need to make some sort of adjustment. And I really think that Protoss, although he's doing cool things like always getting upgrades, he really still is on 4 warp gates where he's really not making constantly out of them. Whereas Terran has all these unit producing structures, is making crazy amounts of stuff out of them. And there's the very early combat shield upgrade. Fantastic, excellent upgrade. And there's a little tiny adjustment that we're starting to see. On Lost Temple, we saw Nex get a barracks early on, a early 4th barracks with a tech lab, and begin making just a lot of ground units. Because this map is so all over the place, he's getting more medevacs, not just so he can keep his army alive, but also because he can do all sorts of fun transport antics. here comes a little Chase-a-Ruha as the, the Phoenixes just continue to crack me up at every single opportunity. And of course the medevacs allow for very, very rapid reinforcement of armies. And by the way, the fact that Terran is pushing down this right lane would signal to me that he wants to expand there. Almost always want to point out good places to expand while attacking, because I'm noticing there's that juicy $900 in the bank. Want to figure out a way to spend that. So now I'm starting to go, yeah, Snowkiss, there's your macro. Now I'm really starting to see you using your Chrono Boost, figuring out ways to throw some money in there. But it feels a little bit late. Kind of like the probe transfer to this main. Yeah, gold minerals are... It's fun to show off to your friends, but they're most useful when they're mining something. So we have the Phoenixes over here at the right that are